Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. We're looking at Luke chapter 12, and today we're going down to verse 13 and we'll go through verse 21. Now, what is so interesting is you look in this chapter already, Jesus has been speaking in these first 12 verses and talking about the sin of hypocrisy. He starts this chapter by saying to the disciples, beware of the hypocrisy, the leaven of the Pharisees. And then he discusses some things, as we've been talking about, how to deal with hypocrisy, how to make sure that we overcome it in our own lives. It's a great temptation that we face. Now, in this passage, you're going to hear another beware. Beware of covetousness. So let's read these verses. Then one from the crowd said to him, Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. But he said to him, Jesus said to him, Man, who made me a judge or an arbitrator over you? And he said to them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things that he possesses. Let's stop there for a moment. And so beware of hypocrisy, the sin of pretending, acting out a life that makes others think that you're better than you really are. And my friend, it's a terrible sin. We've talked about it. Now, the second sin Jesus is dealing with it is another one I'm convinced every American, every person on planet Earth has a propensity, has a heart, has a desire to do, and that is to covet. And that's why the Ten Commandments, at least twice it's mentioned, thou shalt not covet. You shalt covet anything your neighbor has. You shouldn't covet your neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not covet. And so here we find that this is a sin of the heart. Now, when this man said, teacher, rabbis in those days would maybe help people settle even legal disputes between themselves. But Jesus didn't answer this man. He knew that the problem wasn't really a legal problem of an inheritance between the two brothers. It was a problem of the heart. So instead of answering him, he turned to the crowd and he said, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things that you have, but the things that you really can truly trust God for in your life. Now, then Jesus begins to tell the story. He spoke a parable to them, saying, The ground of a certain man yielded plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops? So he said, I will do this. I'll pull down my barns and build greater, and there I will store all my crops and my goods. And I will say to my soul, So you have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, Fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will these things be which you have provided? So is he who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God. Now, let me just say this, and I'll say it several times as we look at this parable and the story Jesus told about dealing with covetousness. This man was not a fool because he was rich. He was not a fool because he had a lot of money. He was not a fool because he worked hard and he had this money available to himself. He was a fool because after he got his money, he didn't know what to do with it. He didn't know what to do with it. Now, in America, this is a sin that I'm afraid so many of us have. We waste money, we spend money, and we invest money. But do we invest it in that which is eternal? And that's why I love that quote, the man is no fool who gives up that which he cannot keep to gain that which he cannot lose. And my friend, we need to prepare for eternity, and we'll see that in this parable. Beware of covetousness. Covetousness is an unquenchable thirst for getting more and more of something we think we need in order to be satisfied. It's a thirst that really will never be satisfied. Oh yes, temporarily it might satisfy you with things, possessions, and fame, etc., but it will never truly satisfy the deepest need of your soul. And we will enjoy talking about this story in parable and this warning, beware of covetousness, for the next couple days. Well, God bless, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.